We got stuff from Steve Young that absolutely needs to be heard by all of you. Niners Talk Podcast, NBC Sports Bay Area. What up, Maiocco? All right, check this out. Steve Young said this about Brock Purdy, and I think this is interesting because Purdy right now, the perception is, well, geez, he wins, and so very successful, but nobody looks at him still, even after 8-0. Nobody looks at him and goes, man, the talent just oozes off the TV set when I'm watching this guy play. But listen to Young now. Listen to Steve Young.
We have this incredible, unique human being named Brock Purdy. And I'm just not going to limit him. I'm not going to say, oh, he's not bigger, he's not as strong, he's not as fast. I'm just not going to limit him. I think he's just an incredibly unique human made for quarterbacking, and I'm just let him cook. I don't know how else to say it. I don't want to prejudge anything that he say he can't or can do. I think it's all possible with Brock.
I am so focused on let him cook because I honestly think even the biggest Niner fan and the biggest Purdy fan is like, he cooks? I didn't know he cooked. Because the perception is still that he is a product of his surroundings. That's not what Steve's saying.
Right. He says he's not going to limit him, which means he
basically did everything but call him a unicorn.
Well, he said he likes what he does and he's built to be a quarterback.
Hold on a second. Listen.
He said he's a unicorn.
No, I said he did everything but call him a unicorn.
Right.
Take a listen one more time.
We have this incredible, unique human being named Brock Purdy. And I'm just not going to limit him. I'm not going to say, oh, he's not bigger, he's not as strong, he's not as fast. I'm just not going to limit him. I think he's just an incredibly unique human made for quarterbacking, and I'm just let him cook. I don't know how else to say it. I don't want to prejudge anything that he say he can't or can do. I think it's all possible with Brock.
It's all possible, Dib.
He's an incredible, unique human being.
He's made for this.
Right. I'm not going to let you portray me as anti-Brock Purdy.
I'm not trying to.
I mean, he's a nice young quarterback. It's been a cute little sample size of 7-1.
Steve Young says that, and you immediately start patting Brock on the head?
I'm not patting him on the head.
You just said nice, little, and cute within the span of 8 words.
Because his sample size...
He's not a Sacramento King.
He started 8 games in the National Football League, and he's 7-1, which is a nice little start.
Why is everything nice little?
Why does that trigger you? I mean, you spent 2 months patting De'Aaron Fox on the head, who's done more in the NBA.
Right, and I was purposeful with every single word.
And I'm purposeful here. It's been a great little start to his cute little career. I mean, do you think that he's going to go out this year and throw for 5,000 yards and 39 touchdowns and lead the team to a 15-2 mark?
Here's what I'm saying. I think that it's cute, and I would like to pat on the head the idea that human beings can go into the NFL and just trip and fall into 8-0 runs because Kyle Shanahan, because Kyle's their coach, because Christian's his running back, because Trent is his left tackle. All of these things have been true for tons of players. Tons of players. Many quarterbacks have played with Christian. Many quarterbacks have played with Trent Williams.
Not Christian and Trent.
Many quarterbacks have played for Kyle Shanahan.
And Debo and George and Brandon.
Yeah. I'm not telling you it's not a good roster, but I said this same thing about Jimmy for years. Like, I don't know where Jimmy's career is going to go for here with the Raiders, but you don't accidentally win at this level. He's not Mahomes. I'm not over here saying that. But nice, little, cute, hey, I mean, my God.
That's a great little start to his career.
He is, he's very good. He's a very good player. There are not many people who could have done what he did last year.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
That does not solidify his future. Things happen, things change, circumstances overload. Oh, my God. Niner quarterback position, better example than anything. But he's a very good player. You do not stumble into what he did last year.
Well,
not an accident.
I don't know if I'm ready to give him very good. Let's see what he can do for an encore. Last year, he was very good. In a very small sample size, he was very good, playing with an unbelievably talented roster and a genius of a coach as a QB whisperer, Kyle Shanahan. He had a great run last year. And much like Casey Schmidt, the league will adjust. And we'll see if Brock Purdy, coming off an injury, can come out and do it again.
A little different, you'd admit, in football than baseball.
It's much different.
Yeah.
It's much different. But I think in football, especially defensive coordinators now who will have had an entire year, and now that they know, hey, I got the Niners on my schedule, let's take a look at Brock Purdy and see what he does and doesn't do well, and they're going to make adjustments. It's going to be tougher on Brock Purdy this year. It's going to be a lot tougher based on the schedule for one. The schedule is much tougher.
Sure.
And now these defensive coordinators, they've got some tape on Brock Purdy.
I think the biggest thing is our expectations. Brock Purdy last year was playing against zero expectations.
Right.
Like, in fact, we were just thrilled that he didn't come in and screw the whole thing up.
Well, the expectations now are do what you did last year.
Much higher, yeah.
I mean, last year, 67% completion percentage. We're going to need you to be in about that same spot. Mm-hmm. Don't be 64, 65. 13-4 TD to interception ratio. It's about 3-1. I'm going to need that to probably be even better, quite frankly.
Steve Young, if you're
I partake.
If you're put off by incredible and unique,
I am not put off at all. You're trying to portray me.
I'm not just talking to you. I don't know if you know this, but people listen to the show.
You're using my stuff now. I like that. It's a radio show, Dibs.
If you are put off by that, wait till you hear this.
There's a processing. I call it the Force. It's like a Star Wars analogy, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and and they don't. It's something you can't describe. It's just someone has the Force, and I think quarterbacking is so much that way. When I see somebody who has the Force, I don't know how to tell you all the intricacies of what makes that, but you can just tell. And so Brock had it so thick. It was like Luke Skywalker, like right away he was just. And so he wasn't the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the strongest arm, but he has the Force. And maybe he's strong as anybody who's playing. So that and then you talk about on top of the culture and the innovative offense and the play calling and the talent, it all kind of comes together. So that's why I don't want to limit what Brock could be, because it's easy to say the last person in the draft at his size, arm strength, and everything else. There's limitations.
Right.
I think that'd be with talking about Brock Purdy. I don't think you should speak that way, because I think he's the kind of guy that's going to make you look like a dummy.
This dude is literally a Jedi. Forget incredible and unique. He's got the Force.
Steve, it's called S2 cognition. It's not the Force. It's not this mythical, ethereal, unquantifiable thing. It actually can be quantified. And I would love to see Steve Young have his S2 cognition tested.
Good.
I bet you it's unbelievably good. And this comes down to the ability to make quick decisions, and it's perception speed, search efficiency, impulse control, decision complexity. These are all things that we could spend hours trying to explain, but it's basically comes down to what Steve was saying. Can you see it? Can you feel it? Do you have the Force?
Let's go to Yoda in Brentwood. I'm sorry, Davis in Brentwood, who has this to say about Brock Purdy. Hi, Davis. What are you doing?
Hey, guys. Driving, heading home, and listening to Willard and Dibs.
Yeah, good,
Nice.
good decision.
Dibs, just counter what you just said about Purdy, okay? The league may adjust to plays that they see the team calling regularly. The problem is they cannot adjust to to plays that are off the playbook. And it's something that, Brock Purdy was really good at last year. And it reminded me a lot of Russell Wilson at his best, Brett Favre. And I know there's no comparison, but the one that excels the most to something like that is Patrick Mahomes, and that is why it's so difficult to beat him. How can you adjust to something that is so improvised? You don't know where the ball is going or who he's going to throw it to. Like I said, I didn't believe in the guy at first. Honestly, I was always a Jimmy Garoppolo fan. And I thought, man, it's going to be 2 games and he's going to be out of there and we're screwed. Okay, the season's going to be over. He won me over. The last time that I saw the Niners put 30 points on at least 3 consecutive games, You know what? I can probably go. I probably would have to go back all the way back to Jeff Garcia. And if I'm not mistaken, on all the games that he played, he put at least 30 points or more. That's not something that you can plan for. That was based on a lot of plays. A lot of those points were improvised plays by Brock Purdy. So I think that's what Steve Young is referring to. He's got that something that not everybody has. That
Davis,
ability
yeah.
to see the whole field, not just parts of it.
Thank you very much, Davis. He didn't
Thank
score
you,
30
Davis.
points in all of his games. They averaged
No, he
over
said
30.
3 in a row. The last time that they did that 3 straight times was going back to Jeff Garcia.
I thought he
is what
said in
Davis
all
said.
of his games, but yeah, 3 straight. Sure.
Right, and the last 3, Washington, Vegas, and Arizona.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to poo-poo Brock Purdy and the nice little start he's had to his career, because it's, 6 games in the regular season where he really played, 5 starts, 2-1 in the playoffs, 7-1 overall. You don't want to give him that loss. Unfortunately, he gets it.
Yeah, I know, but he didn't play.
He played.
but
he played. And what
I don't-
happened, Mark, is what defenses are going to do to adjust to Brock Purdy.
Right.
You're going to see a lot more pressure and a lot more defenses trying to make him go left this year than you saw last year.
I don't know about that. I mean, pressuring the quarterback is something that every team does in every game. So that's kind of what I mean about like adjustments in the NFL are different than they are in baseball, because you can pitch Casey Schmidt low and outside and he'll swing at it. You're not throwing a pitch at Brock Purdy. You're throwing your defense at him, which they did right away.
Right.
And in fact, when a rookie comes in, they try to throw the sink at you right away, because that's what they want to do. Can you make a decision under duress? And Brock did that very, very well. He did that very well. So now, there's also this from Steve Young, and this is maybe a little bit of a less optimistic topic, but it's not about Purdy and what Star Wars character he is. It's more about his health.
One thing's for sure is that if it stays on track, there is a 6-month period to kind of get it full strength. And the thing that's unusual is that he does it for baseball all the time. He's done it 3 or 4 times for football, but not in the car wreck scenario, the way that he described, what happened to Brock. And so it's just, he says it's just not sure. So I think no one can know exactly how it's going to go. So if Brock is ready, game 1, it's not going to be 100%. Anyone who says he can rip a pass 6 months later, I don't think it belies reality. It doesn't mean he can't play 90%. So we'll see how that goes. But if he's ready, I'm sure they'll play him.
Yeah, I like that actually.
That's an interesting one.
It's very interesting, but I also I run around under the impression when I'm watching a football game that everybody out there, especially as the season wears on, is less than 100%. Brock played in Seattle in a game where they didn't think he would play in the second half, and he played very well. So
what was the injury that time?
That was it was the midsection, right?
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not the moneymaker, though. And that's
it's
where,
not.
and honestly, if he's not 100%, he's coming back from injury. So there's going to be a little bit of that self-doubt that still is kind of baked in there. And I wonder if he is not fit, then if it's not Trey Lance who gets that first start, if he's let's just say he's at 90%, but hasn't fully gone through that feeling to where he can just set back and let it rip, like Steve is saying, is that a situation that you want to put him out there, or do you give him another week to maybe get closer to 100%?
Yeah,
that's going to be a dance that they're going to have to play as you get closer to the start of this year.
If you're telling me that he's 90% by week 1, I'm completely comfortable with that. Completely.
I wonder, though, for me, because
you're going to have to throw your way through that last 10% anyway. So
right, but I'd rather have him do that in practice to where he gets to 100%. Now he feels confident being out there.
But what do you always hear? You can practice all you want with an injury, and you don't really, really fully know.
Yeah, until you get out there.
Until it's game speed, because your body's going to react differently. Your adrenaline is going to be different. In practice, he can throw knowing there's no chance of getting hit. You're going to have to do it at some point.
Right.
And I don't know if September, what date is the first game?
I think the 12th.
I don't know if September 19th is suddenly going to make it okay. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go do it. You got to go do it. Pittsburgh is the perfect place to try.
The 10th, actually, is the opener at Pittsburgh.
All right.
And then the 17th at the Rams. And then 4 days later, you host the Giants on a short week.
Yeah, their home opener is a Thursday nighter, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So interesting from what Steve said about, he kind of expects him to not be at 100%. And for me, it's different not being 100% with another body part. This is not being 100% with your elbow, which is the most important thing in terms of the position you're trying to play.
Yeah, although I find it fascinating that halfway through the comment, he's like, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Right.
And then toward the end, he's like, well, it's definitely not going to be 100%. Well, how do you know? How do you know?
Well, nobody knows.
Yeah.
And ultimately,
so maybe he will be.
Ultimately, Kyle Shanahan will have seen it in practice. And I wonder if he gets a chance in the final preseason game, August 25th, to go out there and at least, let a couple rip. And I
think you hope so.
You do hope so.
You hope that there's a series.
And at least a couple throws.
Sure.
And not even I don't want to see just a couple of little flares to the flats. I want to see him get back there, hit that back foot, and step into a couple and really let it rip. It doesn't even matter if they're complete or not, but just get back to that spot in the 5-step drop, get on your back foot, step forward, and just crank a couple. If he can do that, then he can play against Pittsburgh.
It's Willard and Dibs. We're going through some really interesting comments from Steve Young with Matt Maiocco on the 49ers Talk podcast, NBC Sports Bay Area. It wasn't just a Purdy party. If Purdy's not ready for week 1, how about Trey Lance?
Anyone who says Trey can't, off of what? Off of what are you? Why are you? What data are you saying? Oh, because one game, one play. Back in North Dakota State, I saw a play. Come on, man. Stop. You don't know, and I don't think he knows. But he needs an opportunity to go prove it. I don't know if he's going to get it, but I think if I'm Trey Lance, I'm doing everything I can, and he's doing it right now. That's my job. I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to go create my own narrative about what I can and maybe can't do.
I can answer Steve's question. Although I would never say that Trey can't play. But he said, off of what? What data do you have? We have no data. We have behavior. That's what we have. And that's what I'm looking at. I have nothing bad to say about Trey Lance because I have no idea. My experience is only a tiny bit more than what the experience is for most of you. I've watched the games that he's played in. Very few of them. I think it's 4 or 5, whatever. Sometimes it was to bring in a different package in the Garoppolo era. Other times it was to fill in for Jimmy. And then there were the 2 games he started last year. I've watched that just like you have, and I've been to a handful of practices to watch him play. There's no data there. What there is behavior by the San Francisco 49ers.
Right.
Let's re-sign Jimmy. Let's sign Sam Darnold. Let's sign Brandon Allen. Let's put all of our chips into Brock Purdy, who's played 8 games and was drafted in the 7th round. That's behavior.
You forgot Nate Sudfeld last year, who they gave a guaranteed deal.
Right.
Sudsy.
That's behavior
right,
by a multi-billion-dollar organization, and this is their most important employee.
Yes, and they traded up to get him, and they spent draft capital to get him, and since then, all they've done is surround him with competitors and other quarterbacks who might be able to take his job, including Sam Darnold, another formerly highly drafted player who they signed almost immediately when free agency opened and gave him guaranteed money. So those behaviors, and you've used the word hedge before, they feel like hedge moves by an organization that maybe isn't completely convinced. But now what have we seen? Not only the Steve Young comments, but everything coming out of Niner camp. Kyle Shanahan saying, oh, we got 3 quarterbacks who are all ready to go right now, and I like where we are in the quarterback room, and they're going to try to build this whole thing up until they get to a point where they have to actually show their hand.
Like when Shanahan said that, where was Brandon Allen? They only have 3 quarterbacks who can play. Was he offended by that, or was he maybe talking about him?
Or maybe he was not referring to Brock Purdy because he can't play right now.
Maybe. I mean, I'm kidding, but
yeah.
Brandon Allen is, he's started games in the NFL.
Christian McCaffrey took snaps at quarterback last year in the NFC Championship game.
Yep. Camp next Wednesday, huh?
You want to go?
Yep.
That'd be fun.
Let's go.
Got to get the sunscreen on.
No problem. I got some left over from all the kids' camps that I've been readying him for every day.
I wish that camp was like an extra hour in length, because part of the fun going down there is to chop it up with the Maioccos and the Mike Silvers and the Matty Barrows and all the rest of it. And like last time, I spent about 10 minutes talking to Eric Branch and his daughter who's going to get in the business. And it's like you forget that there's so much football to watch because There's so many of our old friends down there.
Here we go, man. Next Wednesday.
You ready?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, by the way, this conversation needs some data. And even though practice isn't really going to give you data, it's information. It's information.
Right.
We're going to watch how the 49ers handle this. There will be people on the scene watching what they do. Now, I'm not going to overrate even what happens there because we fall into that trap every year in sports. Ooh, I watched Trey Lance rip it down the field in August, and it ended up on Twitter. Okay, great. He hit a receiver in stride who wasn't being guarded. I'm unimpressed. But we're going to get some things. I'm more focused on what the 49ers do rather than what my eyeballs tell me when I'm there.
And let me just add this because we're going to get into it and I'm going to overreact and it's going to drive me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I hate practice stats. Brandon Allen today was 12 of 14 against the ones and Trey Lance was 9 of 17 against the ones. I know that the reporters, they don't have to do it, but you kind of have to do it because somebody's going to do it. You got to also do it. And exactly. But to me, it's the most meaningless pile of garbage that there can be coming out of camp. Practice stats. We're talking about practice stats.
Don't forget draft grades.
Oh, I love draft grades.
I know you do.
I gave him a C+, Mark. I don't even know what team we're talking about. Stupid. It's always a C+.